You guys with me so far?
Yep.
All right. That's all there is to it in terms of starting a Responseware session and also what the students must do to join a Responseware session. So the next thing I'm going to talk about is what the instructor must do if they want to go ahead and reserve the session ID. So if they want their session ID to be the same for every single class and every single time they use Responseware, they can reserve this ahead of time through the RW Pulse site. So that's where I'm going to go right now. So when I get to RW Poll, it's going to ask me for my username and my password, obviously. Eventually here. Okay, so I'm going to log in to my Responseware account. So I'll click that. Put in my password. And now when I log in, it's going to say, of course, welcome to Responseware, and the first little link below is going to say, reserve or change your session ID. If I click this, I already have a reserved session ID. You see, it's HOLT. If I want to change it, maybe put a Z on it like it should be, I can just go ahead and type it out, press OK, and now it's going to tell me I've successfully registered the session name. Now, if I go back to it, and let's say I want to register Kevin, and I know somebody else already has this. So I would log in, press OK, and it's going to tell me the session is already reserved, because somebody else already has this session ID. So it's basically one instructor at a time for everybody who uses Responseware can have a particular session ID. Well, of course, Holtz is mine. As long as nobody took it within the past 30 seconds or so, I'm going to be able to get it back here. And there we go. Okay, so now I have it back. I thought I had it back. There we go. All right, so now I have the Holtz name back, and that is my session ID, which means anytime I log into Responseware, I can put this in as my reserved session ID. I don't have to keep on going back to RW Poll and reserving it every single time I use Responseware. It's a one-time thing. So now, when I'm back in here, go to Tools, Responseware, and I get to this main screen. Once again, I have the option to allow guests or require login. Obviously, at your university, it's going to be require login. And now I can put in what I reserved as my session ID. Press login, and no longer is it going to be a random 6-digit number. I'm going to have Holtz in there, and I can use Holtz anytime I want. Now, I have to tell you a quick little story how somebody used this university. It was maybe the negative side of putting in a reserved session ID. The instructor actually put their session ID in their syllabus. And in their syllabus, they put in the certain days that they would be using that session ID. So, Tuesday, October 5th. They put in there that they're going to be using Responseware, and here's going to be the session ID. So students knew that they get credit for answering the questions. Well, basically, this is internet-based. You can log in from whatever you want. The students just stayed at home, and they logged in the Responseware, and they answered the questions, and they still got credit for being in class. So that's really kind of an anomaly, but of course, you guys know, I was a student. Any type of advantage I can take, I'm going to find it. And, so that was one way in which, I don't recommend that the session ID is put into the syllabus, at least in terms of when exactly it's going to be used. All right, you guys have any questions on reserving that session ID or using it?
Nope.
All right, so let me now jump into TurningPoint Anywhere, because in TurningPoint Anywhere, you can also go ahead and use Responseware regardless what type of questions you're asking. All right, so I opened up TurningPoint Anywhere. I'm now going to click my main menu drop-down, and just like in TurningPoint, I'm going to go to my Tools tab and Responseware second from the bottom. When I click on Responseware, still need to put in my username and my password. Always helps. Click Remember Me. And now I have the option to go ahead and put in that reserved session ID, which I will. Also, it's important to note that if you have a reserved session ID, it's good for both TurningPoint and TurningPoint Anywhere. As soon as I click Login, it's now going to tell me Welcome to the session. Now, if participants join my session and I'm not using any type of question list, and maybe I'm just doing verbal questions, or I'm writing it over top of another application, basically, this is what it looks like. Okay, so let me go ahead and cancel this, and get back to the main screen here. Okay, so enter the session ID. I put in Holtz. Join the session. Still wants me to put in my first name, last name if I need to. Now it's going to say polling closed, of course. Now, when I open up the polling on a TurningPoint Anywhere question that is not using any type of question list, of course, Responseware has no idea what the question is. So it's just listening as question and answer choice 1 through 10. All right, so that's the case where we're not using a question list, and we might be running this over top of another application, or we may just be asking the verbal questions. Now, as always, you could go ahead and send user feedback, and I can respond to it as a presenter by clicking the F11 key. So all those features are identically the same between TurningPoint and TurningPoint Anywhere. All right, you guys have any additional questions on using Responseware, setting it up from a student's perspective, anything further?
This still works if you set it up through Blackboard, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So you could go ahead and do that as well. So if you set it up through Blackboard, it's going to be the same setup as if you're using those response cards. So really no difference whatsoever there. It basically, if you're using Responseware, it is a response card. It really is. You're just using a different type of medium to answer the question. So you're still dealing with the same thing. Okay, anything additional in terms of Responseware? Or basically, guys, I'm going to open it up to anything else that we have covered in our training sessions.
Have you noticed any major differences between professors using Word 2010?
I tell you, if they're going to be using 2010, I would recommend they use TurningPoint Anywhere. Still having a little bit of difficulty in terms of the integration with TurningPoint in Office 10. So if they tell you that they are going to be using one of those newer Office versions, I would recommend that they use the TurningPoint Anywhere software. The TurningPoint Anywhere software, of course, does not get integrated with their PowerPoints. It runs in conjunction, so they're not going to have any trouble in terms of there being any interference with it. So we're still trying to work out the bugs on that. So if you do have professors on campus that tell you that they are using Office 10, TurningPoint Anywhere would be 100% of the time, and that would be my suggestion for that. Okay. You guys got me on the line here, so if there's any other questions popping up from those instructors, professors, please feel free to ask them now, or if you can't think of it right now, I mean, of course, I'm not going anywhere, so anytime you need to get in touch with me, you guys both have my email address, and you also have my direct contact number, and so I'm always available as long as I'm not on the road, which we're starting to calm down a little bit in terms of on-site trainings. And as you guys can imagine, we cover every market, corporate, government, K-12, and higher education. So right around this time of the year, everybody wants an on-site training. So no excuse now for rescheduling with you guys a good handful of times, but I do appreciate the patience. But guys, before I let you go, are there any additional questions whatsoever on anything? Is there anything further happening on campus which I did not address?